Hello, everybody. This is Jannecke from Wisdom from North. I'm here with on the Wellbeing Festival in Norway at Lillestrøm, and I'm here now with Salila and Anand, who is actually yoga teachers. They're doing Kundalini Yoga, and they have the Northern Lights Center. Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Very good.
Wonderful. So tell us a little bit about Kundalini Yoga, because that's kind of your speciality.
That is true. Who shall start?
Yes.
Me?
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, Kundalini Yoga is a very holistic form of yoga. It's authentic in the way that we carry the aspect of the soul and the mental aspect of yoga. Yoga means union between mind, body and spirit. And in the Kundalini Yoga tradition, we make sure that we focus on all these parts so that we consist of. It's also called the yoga of awareness, because we work a lot with raising our awareness and integrating yoga not only on the mats but out of the mat, so in our daily lives. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how you actually do that, incorporate or include the yoga in our everyday lives, and maybe then Kundalini Yoga?
Yeah. You know, people often wonder, what is Kundalini? So, Kundalini is something very mystic. We don't really know. We say, it is our creative force, yeah? The force of our creativity. But actually, the Kundalini is something very, very, very daily and normal that we all have. When you observe a child growing up, you see how the baby starts crawling and then starts climbing up and then starts walking and falling down and getting up again and falling and walking. No, and this is what drives this child. That's the Kundalini. That's the Kundalini energy. And this is the same energy that is within all of us. And we are still, you know, what makes up us getting up in the morning is our Kundalini energy. But Kundalini Yoga is a science that allows you to direct that energy, to really control that energy, that life force within you, so that you get this extra capacity that you need, not only just to live your life, but to fulfill your dream, to really master your life. You need a little extra. You know, we know life is a load, you know, life is often really tough. But in Kundalini Yoga we say, we don't escape into the mountains and there we meditate, you know, and we feel union with the universe. In Kundalini Yoga we say, we go there into the middle of the life where the pressure is highest, you know, where you really have that challenge and where you really have that pressure. And there, under the pressure, we create that diamond. And to be able to stand that pressure, you need the Kundalini Yoga. You need that daily practice that gives you that strength, that tunes your system, that activates all the glands in your body, that opens your chakras, that gives you that inner clarity to go out in life and live from your heart. And that's what it means to bring Kundalini Yoga from the mat into life.
Very interesting. And I was wondering now if Kundalini energy is the same as prana or chi or just a different name for the life force, or if Kundalini is something even more mystical or different.
It's different. You know, chi and prana is life energy. It's infinite. You know, it's flowing through all of us and it's nourishing everything. But when we call it Kundalini, that means that we bring consciousness to that. Yeah?
But it's something that we are awakening in a sense, right?
Exactly. We say we are awakening the Kundalini, and that means we are rising the Kundalini, what means we are rising our consciousness, from the state of being, you can say, animalistic, instinctive, following our instincts. It's prana, it's still prana that is working through us, but on an instinctive level. But we are rising the Kundalini, and that means we are rising the awareness, we are rising the consciousness to a state where it's not about me, but about we, about us. And that's the rising of the Kundalini, to rise it even to a higher state of consciousness.
Can you talk a little bit more about the mystical aspect of it? Because I think that's very fascinating. And I was talking to another friend of mine called Øinæs. We were talking about different levels of consciousness in a way. And it seems like when you are awakening the Kundalini, you are... the mystical states are more accessible in a way, it seems like to me. Yeah, would that be right, for instance?
Well, I believe we are all sensitive. We are all born sensitive, but through our lives we get influence from society, our upbringing, our parents, the environments we live in, and somehow we numb ourselves more or less. So when we come in contact with our Kundalini energy, we might awaken this sensitivity again, so we get more sensitive, and then we also tap into other frequencies as well. And in Kundalini Yoga, I like to give the pictures of how mosquitoes get attracted to light. Because when we become more light, when we live our light, we may attract more mosquitoes, because mosquitoes go to where the light is. So in a way, the challenges, you always get the challenges that you're able to cope with.
Did you actually mean that you are attracting more darkness or difficulties?
It can be, because when you work on self-development, you're also working on your stamina and your nervous system, so you're able to handle more. So it can be.
Interesting. So the snake that we've been seeing, do you know anything about that? Can you talk a little bit about that, if that's something you know about? Because to me, I've in my mind, when I think about Kundalini, I think about that snake that's like going up here from our spine and all of a sudden rising. And it seems like to be a symbol of the Kundalini, and we've seen it in apotek. What is that in English? Pharmacy, that's probably... Okay, maybe another snake. But yeah, what is your take on this?
Yeah. Okay, the snake at the pharmacy is another snake. It's not the Kundalini snake. Comes from a different tradition. The snake in Kundalini Yoga, they say in the ancient text, in the ancient yogic text, they describe the Kundalini as a snake that is curled like a spiral. And it's like a 3.5 rounds. And there comes a certain rhythm in it, 3.5. So it's kind of already a mystic number in there. And there's a meaning to it, because in this 3.5 there's a certain tension. And that tension describes this spiral will roll, it will unroll and unfold. And there's another translation for Kundalini. Kundal means a curl. So some saints, they say that the Kundalini, it is the curl of the beloved one. Yeah, the one that you love. You understand that picture? So you have kind of that curl of the one you love, and you have it with you, so you always remember. You always remember the one you love. And that nourishes...
In a way, remember who you are and where you come from.
Exactly. Remember where you come from.
Where you come from, sorry. Yeah.
Yes. So that curl remembers your love, and it will awaken your longing. And that longing, that is again this driving force of the Kundalini that brings us back to our origin, to that state of highest consciousness that is union. And that's this union, the reunion with your beloved one.
I know I've studied this before and I forgot all about it, but I just thought about it now, like that snake. I find it so fascinating, this Kundalini. Is it? Do you awaken it once and then it's awakened, or do you need to awaken it again and again?
You need to awaken it again and again. It's not actually so difficult to awaken it. In fact, you can awaken it if you fall coincidentally on your tailbone. You can awaken it viewing a beautiful sunset, getting a good idea. If you give birth to a child, or if you have wonderful sex with your beloved one, you can awaken the Kundalini or through Kundalini Yoga. But the most difficult is to maintain it, to keep it alive, in fact. And in Kundalini Yoga, we awake it consciously. And it's not that it just awakens, coincidentally, suddenly, it only awakens when you're ready. So in Kundalini Yoga, we awaken it very systematically. So your nervous system is strong enough, and you make sure that you are strong enough to, in a way, carry your strength. Because it's all about integrating all different aspects of yourself so that you can become, unfold your potential.
And that's very important, right? Because I've heard that people can have sudden awakenings, and that can be hurtful sometimes. Because you don't know how to handle it, and you're not used to seeing what you all of a sudden see.
Yes.
Exactly. You have to be ready, you have to be prepared to integrate what you experience. That's why in Kundalini Yoga we emphasize mainly on building up the nervous system. Yeah? That we are actually able to integrate and to hold that state of consciousness.
And do you do that through breathing exercises mostly?
It's both exercises. It's breathing, it's mantra, it's...
A lot of physical exercises, strong physical exercises. It's about tuning the glandular system. Yeah, it's about building up that inner core, also the core muscles, to give you certain stamina. Mantra is a very important thing. Meditation, because you have to be able to maintain a neutral state of mind, so that when the Kundalini rises, that you can allow it to rise, that it doesn't go follow your mind, because it's energy. And your mind is always going to direct your prana, it's always going to direct your life energy. So if your mind is very active, then you're going to direct that energy immediately into a fantasy, or into an idea, or whatever. Therefore, we focus in Kundalini Yoga a lot on clearing the subconsciousness, all our subconscious blocks, because they will grab immediately whatever we release, it will immediately be directed into our subconscious ideas and wishes.
Is that possible to clear all your subconsciousness?
It's a lifelong process, but yes, it is. It makes a big difference when you first start with practicing Kundalini Yoga and meditation. You will, after a couple of weeks, you will have completely different dreams. You will observe that this daydreaming and that wandering around of your mind, it will change, and you will be so much more present. And yes, it works.
Is Kundalini Yoga just another name for, or a Kundalini awakening, just another name for awakening in general? Because people are talking a lot about awakening. But is Kundalini awakening something else than the normal awakening, if you understand my question?
I don't think it's entirely different. I think there is many similarities. And how the Kundalini awakens is very different from person to person. For someone it is sudden. For someone it can take many years, a gradual awakening. So it's hard to say. It's really hard to say. We never know who is awakened and who is not awakened. It can be the bus driver, it can be the garbage man, it can be anybody. So,
but if someone is saying to you, I had an awakening, that would mean that they have had the Kundalini rising?
Yes, you can say that. Not everybody experiences it physical. Some people have the Kundalini rising as a very physical experience without really having a conscious experience out of it. While some people, when they say, I have an awakening, that means I have an insight. Yeah? So that is really more like rising the consciousness. But it is really, I believe, we all have these moments of insights. We climb up a mountain, and then suddenly we are above the clouds, and we see the open sky, and we feel so in touch with nature and with our origin. And that is such a moment of awakening, and that is a Kundalini rising, you can say. But the thing is, as soon as we're going to walk down the mountain again, we're going to drop our Kundalini, and we're going to drop our consciousness. So it is not so much about the awakening, it's really much more about the cultivating. You have to cultivate that consciousness day by day. And that's a work. Yeah? Just like watering a plant. Yeah? You have to cultivate it.
I find it so fascinating that we come into this planet and we have to do something to change something, or if you know what I mean. I think we're born actually with just full consciousness, and then life happens, but then it's like we're trying to come back to what we were in a way, and that's such a paradox to me.
In a way, it's not about learning something new. Kundalini Yoga is much more about relearning, in fact. Remembering. So actively cultivate remembering who you really are. So instead of working on your fears, working on your anger or sadness, why not working on remembering who we actually are? Yeah.
Do you like to share some of your own experiences? I mean, it seems like this is pretty integrated in you.
Yeah. Well, I have experienced, the reason I came to Kundalini Yoga basically was through anxieties. I had a lot of anxieties and fears. So, and Kundalini Yoga has been the practice that has helped me most dealing with my fears and finding my true identity. So find that which doesn't change, because feelings and thoughts comes and goes. And through the Kundalini Yoga, I really felt coming home and feeling my core, my source, yes. So I was much more able to take distance to fears and distance to what is not me, that is not my true self. So Kundalini Yoga has really given me a regular practice to connect to who I really am. Yes.
Beautiful. What about you? Would you like to share a bit of your journey?
I kind of started this journey already very, very early. So when I was 15, I tried to figure out, okay, what is that thing with meditation? And I grew up in a very little village, and there was absolutely, doesn't exist anything like this. So I just made it up myself. And I found in the house of my parents, I found a little Buddha, and I plucked some flowers, and I sat myself down, and I just meditated. And I had no teacher, so I just started to explore what that is. Until I was 20 and I traveled to India, and there I met then finally many teachers, and I got very deep insights. But on my journey, what I learned was that overall you have to learn to listen. You have to learn to listen really, really carefully.
And know what to listen to, perhaps.
Yes. You don't know what to listen to, but you first have to listen. And then you can find the teachings, and you can find the wisdom, and you can find guidance. And what then brought me in the end actually to Kundalini Yoga was that it is that yoga that contains the most sacredness. It has all these physical aspects. It has these mental aspects. It has all these meditations. It is a fantastic science. It's deep. It's more. It's a whole lifestyle. Kundalini Yoga is not just a yoga. It's a lifestyle. But what makes it really special for me is that it contains something very, very sacred. And to relate to that sacredness, that changes your attitude. The attitude to life, the attitude to yourself, the attitude to your practice. Now we say the body is a temple. A temple of what? It's a temple of your soul. And with your soul you have to relate through your practice. And actually through each single breath.
Do you find true happiness through Kundalini Yoga?
I would say so.
Yes. Well, I think happiness is in this moment, or? So yeah. We are working on it through our practice, but it's again, life is a yoga in itself. Yes, so yoga can be here and now. Yeah.
I'd like to finish with that. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. And I know you have a center at Frogner where people can find you, Northern Light. Yeah.
Northern Light Yoga at Frogner. We also have a school, which is Kundalini Yoga School, where we give Kundalini Yoga teacher trainings. So, yes.
Thank you so much and have a beautiful day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for watching. And this was live at the Wellbeing Festival. And we're open today and tomorrow as well. And this was filmed by Hatling Media. Thank you so much for watching.